Welcome back to the Bold Moves podcast. We are so glad that you are with us today. We are in this series right now at Crossroads where we're talking about how important it is that we are united as one. And we talked last week about how our faith unites us. That's the most foundational thing that does unite us. But what's amazing about the prayer of Jesus that we see in John 17, and really a thread all throughout the New Testament especially, is that when we say yes to Jesus and we are united in that faith, it also brings us into this new family that we get to be a part of. And family is an interesting word because it has a different meaning to different people. Because growing up, if your family was great, it's like, I get to be a part of a new family again. This is great. And it's like, if my family life was terrible growing up, it's like, maybe I'll think twice about diving in and getting excited about this. But the reality is, this family that we get to be a part of is a beautiful expression of the life of love that Jesus has called us to live. And it brings like true community and people who are passionate about the same things and doing life together. And I think that's something that God wants us to experience. And what I see in our culture today is there are so many people who don't have a place to belong and who are desperate for that kind of community and to feel that sense of family. And so I don't know what that looks like for you. I know I have felt that throughout my life. There were times when I felt like an outsider, and it always helps me keep my eyes open to those who kind of feel the same way. I mean, Jesus challenges us to always be looking toward that. He came for the outsider to help them experience new life. So what does that look like for you? I know you guys are both wildly popular people your whole lives. You've never felt like an outsider. What does that look like? When have you felt that way? Because I'm curious. Have you felt that way? Have you ever felt like an outsider?
You have one, Corey?
Well, so a couple of different things come to mind. One, like growing up, being in high school, honestly, for the longest time, I did everything I could to like not be seen. Really?
Oh, interesting.
Like in high school specifically.
Just to be invisible.
You wore camo?
not quite like that.
Where's Corey? If you look closely, he fits in with that wall scheme over there. Oh, yeah.
What's funny is that actually for the longest time, I wore the same t-shirt every day, just a different color.
And you thought, I was going to say, you thought that would make you not see.
That backfired.
It was a Nike t-shirt with one swoosh right here.
Oh,
and
so it was
different
a cool
colors.
t-shirt,
Different colors, yeah. But that was my way of
No. I have to interject here. I think the real story is, Kristen, go with me on this. I think that he probably wore his like Harry Potter invisibility cloak to school thinking, I'll be invisible. And he was that kid like, well,
I regret
Corey, like,
saying anything about this at all at this point.
Was Harry Potter even a thing when you were
Not at all. I'm older than you think. Yes. No, but that was, I mean, I guess I would feel like during that season, like the reason for all of that is because I was, I didn't have confidence in myself and didn't feel like I fit in. And so like that was the way to handle it. But things changed over the years and definitely found like a couple different church families that I was part of over the years that have made a huge significant impact. But before I came to Crossroads, I lost my job at a different church.
Yeah.
And that was probably the most like outsider-ish feeling that I've ever felt, where I felt like I was a crucial, integral part of what was happening there.
Yeah.
And it just like in an instant, it was over.
Oh, yeah.
And I felt unwelcome, like I was never going to be able to go back to that place.
That's hard.
And
Those are difficult moments.
I didn't know how to cope with that. And so, it took a full year or so, at least, until I got back involved in ministry in any way.
Yeah.
I attended Crossroads for a full year before I was...
It's a great choice.
Yeah. Well, honestly, I mean, I didn't love it the first time I was there.
Hey, easy. It was the preaching.
Hey, truthfully, I wouldn't
came
have...
around.
I'm an acquired taste.
Well... Whatever church
episode.
I was going to ever choose to attend, it was going to take a while for me to heal from all of that. And I think like finding, I think it speaks to what I would say is it speaks to what you're saying. Finding a family, being part of a family, whether that's your own like blood or not.
Yeah.
It's really crucially important because human connection, doing something together, doing something good, worthwhile together, which is what we accomplish at church every single week, is it's a total shift in your life, and it's well worth it.
Yeah, it creates, I think, the deepest possible bonds that we can have as friends and as community when we're united on mission in our faith. Yeah, I mean, that's good, man. I hate that you felt like that, but it's interesting that because you felt like that, you now understand and appreciate even more that community. that you get to experience in church.
Yeah,
and
no
in
question.
faith.
And
Yeah.
I want that for everybody else, right?
Yeah.
So it's
Yes.
like when, I work at Crossroads, and so I think we just take extra care on some of that stuff. But like, as people come into our doors, we're offering, we're allowing people to come in every single week, hoping that people come in every single week who have no connection either with church or with Crossroads or whatever. And we want to get you connected as soon as we can.
Absolutely.
Because that's the thing that's going to make your relationship with Jesus stick, is your relationship with others.
It changes everything. You don't have to be an outsider anymore. Yeah. Kristen, were you ever an outsider? What's that look like for you?
I was an outsider. It wasn't near as deep as Corey's explanation. When I was a kid, I tried every single sport there possibly could be.
Okay.
And I remember I played baseball first, and this is when it was still co-ed. It wasn't
really?
like
Little
the boys
leagues?
in Little League. And there was myself and another girl on the team full of boys, and the boys were terrified of us. And so every time they pitched, I got hit at bat, like by the ball. Like I would get hit in the elbow and the side, wherever.
That is
all
hilarious.
the time.
Okay.
So I was like, nope, I don't belong here. Like,
So you
I'm
hate
out.
baseball because you just associate with getting hit by a
Well,
baseball every at bat.
I don't like to play baseball. And we were actually trying to teach our kids. My husband loves baseball. We're trying to teach them to play and all that. And I was like, I'm out. Like, you teach them, because
bringing back terrible memories.
Yeah, trauma. But yeah, and then I tried basketball. I jammed my finger. I was like, I don't belong here. This is awful. And I was so bad. Like, even my cousin was the basketball coach, and he would not let me on the team. Like, it was, I just
awesome.
don't belong in
Your
that world.
actual family was like,
my blood
no,
family was like,
you don't belong here.
Nope. He made me the manager.
It's fantastic.
That's funny.
But church wise, I felt like an outsider on a missions trip, going to another country.
Oh, interesting.
You stand out.
Sure.
You know that you're not from there.
Yeah.
But the church family unites because your team that's there unites together. So I would say church-wise, I've seen that family come together where you're feeling like an outsider, but yet you're still in it.
Yeah. And you have moments that are very specific where you realize, oh, we are united by something much deeper than, even sports, like baseball, basketball. Like the bond there is much deeper because of our faith.
Well, and it makes me think, like, Kristen, like, if you're going to a different country, or even like people in this, like, people move from one section of the country to another, even just like within a region, one city to another. You find yourself in the middle, like a new neighborhood, whatever. You feel immediately like you don't fit in, like you don't belong. And that's what I love about what we do at Crossroads, where we're intentionally creating an environment to say to all those people who have that feeling, you do belong here. You are invited
100%.
to be part of what we're doing. And so at least, like, you just moved to our area where we've got a Crossroads campus, check it out and see, because we want to help you get connected and help you feel different.
100%. I am intrigued by Luke 5, 31 and 32. We use this as our theme for our All In series and initiative for years now. It's been like 3 or 4 years now. But when Jesus says, who needs a doctor, the healthy or sick, he legitimately says, and I think this is in the message, so maybe he didn't legitimately say it. It is technically like a paraphrase, okay?
Yes.
But he says, who needs a doctor, the healthy or the sick? I'm here for the outsiders, not the insiders. And he's offering an invitation to a changed life, change inside and out. And I think that's significant that that's on the heart of Jesus. Like, his heart is for the outsider. He wants you to feel like part of his family. And again, people have I think it's hardwired into our soul that we have that deep desire to belong and to be part of something. And I think that sense of belonging that God gives us is something that only he can give us. Like, you can find that temporarily on a sports team or a group of friends. That's good. But the deepest sense of belonging comes to knowing Jesus and being part of his family. And we get to be a part of that. And nobody wants to be the outsider. Like, you guys, it is the worst when you are the outsider. My worst part in my social life, where I felt like an outsider, was my sophomore year of college. My freshman year of college, I went down to Clearwater Christian College, and it just clicked. Just sometimes you go and it's like everybody, like these are my people. I'm having a blast. Everything was perfect. It was great. My grades even were okay after all of the fun I was having. Who knew? But my sophomore year, I decided to transfer up. I shouldn't even say the school because I don't want to make it sound bad. But I transferred up north to a different college for my sophomore year, and it couldn't have been more opposite of an experience. When I walked onto the campus, it's like nothing clicks. You don't really make any good connections with anybody. And for literally like the first 2 weeks, I'd go into the lunch area, grab my food and sit down. It's like that feeling of dread of like, I don't know anyone and no one is talking to me. And I remember like specifically a couple of times just sitting at a table by myself, like eating Cocoa Krispies. And that's before phones. So you don't really have anything else to do. Like there's nothing to look at or just like, hey, everyone else that's having fun with their friends. I'm here all by myself. It's the worst. And I appreciate the heart of Jesus that he wants us to have a place to belong. Like we don't have to feel that way. And I think it's important for us to understand that not only should we be chasing after that family atmosphere and that sense of belonging in our relationship with Jesus because he offers us that, but to keep our eyes open to the people who are desperate for it because there are people who are hurting. In our culture today, there are people who are alone, they're isolated, and they're desperate for that community. They're desperate to be part of a family. And many times they don't even know it.
Sure.
But we have that to offer them. And I think it's good for us to recognize, like, look around, who's alone, who's isolated, who's desperate for that belonging, because we can be that light, and just one invitation, one kind word can truly change someone's life. I mean, we talk about making bold moves. That's an amazing bold move that you could make this week to identify someone in your life who's maybe isolated and alone and give them a place to belong. I mean, why not? Yeah.
And I think it's worth acknowledging too that a lot of people that feel that way, it just feels like it's impossible to get out of that rhythm or that rut.
Yes.
Right. So like sparks of memory, you talking about that sparks of memory of me being in college as a freshman. I was so connected at home that when I moved away and went to college, like I kind of like didn't really want to. Yeah. And so the same scenario, like I remember intentionally going to dinner as late as possible so that the cafeteria was as empty as possible. So that I wouldn't have to have interaction with people. And I just remember feeling like, I don't even know, like it wouldn't be possible for me to connect with all these people, even though I'm watching people all around me who are fellow freshmen who have made connections with other people. Like I didn't feel like I even could do that.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until like later, like I was part of our golf team actually at the school. Yeah. And I finally like leaned into relationships there. Yeah. Then I found it. Like I finally found exactly what I needed there. So yeah,
and it matters. Like then you're in community with people. It matters.
I guess the point is it's not necessarily easy. So like what you're saying, searching out, finding people who definitely look like they feel like they're lonely. Like you can see the signs. Yeah. It's not that hard to read people. So,
usually they're by themselves.
that's how it works.
That's the first thing.
Yeah. They look very sad. No, I'm just being dumb.
Yeah. But that's important, I think, for people to search that, because sometimes it just takes an ask.
Yes.
And it takes somebody, and if you're on the other end of that, it takes saying yes, even when you feel like it, you don't necessarily, you're not sure how it's going to turn out. You're a little bit scared,
Take a little risk.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's good. I think sometimes we're maybe a little hesitant to be intentional and make that ask because you don't always feel like you've got it together. Like, what am I inviting them to, right? Like, I need to have the perfect setup to help engage someone else. And I would encourage you to start where you are. Like, if you're on the journey, you're never going to have it figured out. It's never perfect, but start where you are. I think many times, like, you feel like you're not far along enough in your relationship with Jesus yet to invite somebody to church. Like, no, that's a bad excuse. Invite somebody to join you. Like, I don't have my stuff together yet. This creates an awkward situation. It's like, no, overcome those fears and those hesitations. You absolutely right now could change someone's life, even if you don't have it all together. And maybe you're thinking like, well, maybe I'm inviting them to be part of the family, but I'm part of an awkward family right now. Like, no, it's okay. Speaking of awkward families, Kristen, did you not find us some awkward? We have awkward family photos. Just because we're talking about family, you feel like your family's awkward. What have you got for us today, Kristen? Let's see this goal here.
Let's all take a look at a couple of these together. So here's picture number one.
That's just hideous. That's awful. What's happening there? Is that a brother and sister combo? What's happening there?
Yeah,
is that a Christmas theme?
It looks like Christmas sweaters, and it looks like flesh-colored pants on the man.
Oh, yeah, from afar.
Are they khakis?
They're a little too flesh-colored.
Anyway, they're excited. They're feeling festive. So
yes, they are. Thank you for that. That's super awkward. What do we got next? What do we got going on here?
Next one, number 2. Well, I don't know what this is, but that's surely Danny DeVito at the bottom, right?
The is one that the cast from It's Sunny in Philadelphia?
Might be.
Is it? Oh.
That's a staged photo. Kristen. It is. It's Danny DeVito.
Well, it's still good.
That.
I mean, I could see a family. I could see a family doing this.
They nailed the awkward.
The cat is the best, and the guy with his eyes closed.
No question. Okay,
so good.
Yeah, and photo number 3.
Here we go. Oh. What is that? How many people are? How many people are pregnant in that photo? What's happening?
I don't know. Nor do we know who's responsible for doing that.
Lots of new life.
It just makes it that much more awkward. What is happening here?
I just know that the gentleman in the back looks pretty happy.
Oh, my word.
They're doing well.
It's so good. Kristen, thank you for those.
You're welcome.
That's a great comic relief.
Yep.
Sometimes you feel like you're the awkward family, right? Like, oh, I don't have it all together. Why would I invite someone to join me? The reality is, I think that if we're in community, and we're doing our best to follow Jesus, the community that we are experiencing, I think we take it for granted, number one. And I don't think we realize how desperate people are for that.
Sure.
And so I think even if you still don't think like you've got it all figured out, it's still great to invite people to join you because you have something that they're looking for. So don't undervalue, don't underestimate what you found in Jesus. I love what it says in 1 John 3:1. It says, oh, the love that the Father has lavished on us, that we should be called children of God. That is what we are. Like, that is how much God loves us. You are his child. We are part of his family. And we not only get to experience that ourselves, but we get to share that with others. So I think at the end of the day, what we're talking about here is just this idea that, man, we need to be investing in and identifying the outsiders because they're desperate for a place to belong.
Yeah.
They're desperate for that.
What does that look like? So like when we say that we're looking for outsiders, like what are the signs or what are the different things that you're looking for? Obviously, like people who we talked about people who look like they're lonely. Yeah. Certainly that's part of it. But outside of that, because sometimes people are putting on a front, like they're trying to make it look like they're doing good.
Absolutely, they are. I think in a culture that we live in today, what's wild is it's the juxtaposition and the irony that we've never been more connected than ever before, like through social media, text, phone call, like email, FaceTime, whatever.
Yeah.
But we've never been more isolated at the same time.
Yeah.
And so to your point, Corey, you don't always know the depths of how isolated and lonely people are. And so I think it's just being intentionally kind. It's making the asks, it's inviting. I don't think you can invite too many people to join in what you're doing and be that person that's bringing people in.
It makes me think like one of the things that we do at Crossroads on our services is we have a moment, we call it our turn and greet moment. And I know that that's probably really awkward for some people.
For every introvert there.
No question.
They hate it. Yes.
But the reality is some people in our crowd, there's no question about this, shaking a few hands, it's possible that's the only human interaction actually physically touching someone else.
That's wild to think about
in a given week. And that's, I think that even though as awkward as that moment can be, no question, I think it's so crucial to continue to make opportunities for people to make those connections.
Oh, for sure.
And even something as simple as that you just don't know where it can lead.
I think the final thought here is that when it comes to being part of the family of God, like sometimes you might not feel like you have it all together, but the picture of you that we see of the early church in Acts 2, it's an amazing picture because you see this, and I want to make sure I get this right. In Acts chapter 2, I don't want to read the whole thing, but the idea is that everyone was connected because they're all connected in their faith in Jesus. They're all rallying around the same foundation that they are building their life on. And so it just brings this unity and this common bond. And out of that, you see this beautiful culture that they have created where everybody is engaging in this culture. Everybody is contributing. They're living generously. And I think that when you're investing in that community and you're engaged in that community, time, talent, treasure, you're all in. It becomes who you are. And it's central to your life. And the more people that are brought into that, you really are experiencing life in true community. And that's the family picture that God calls us to live out. And when you're all in on that, you're all contributing, you're investing, there's the idea that then there was just celebration. Like the family was growing and it was exciting. And we kind of experience that right now. I don't want to take that for granted in the life of Crossroads, our church. We're experiencing time of growth and momentum and celebration because lives are being changed and more people are, belonging to the family. And I think that when you are focused on the mission, when you're engaged in it and investing in it personally, and you own it, it becomes who you are, and you celebrate that it's growing and that God is moving and working. And that's a community everybody wants to be a part of. You want to be a part of something that's alive.
I'll brag on our staff and some of our leaders. I've noticed that they're keeping the invitation at the forefront of their mind. And they'll have a conversation that has nothing to do with inviting, but it turns into an invitation.
Yes.
So if we're just constantly looking for that moment, it's there.
It is.
So,
it is. We just got to be aware of it. Look for it. Yeah. Well, I think when we talk about the idea of wrapping this within the bold moves concept, I think the bold move is just embracing the fact that we are part of the family of God and not taking that for granted, like recognizing, all right, I get to be part of something truly special. What's my role in that? And then diving in. And I think the missional piece of that is, man, who's desperate for that invitation to a changed life? Who is it in my life that might feel like an outsider, that a kind or an encouraging word could change, an invitation to join could transform their life? Let's be living intentionally with eyes wide open, and may that be the bold move that you take this week.
And that is bold, isn't it? Right?
It is.
To find people in your circle of influence to actually take the step to invite them to come be part of what we're doing.
It's a step out of your comfort zone, but that's what makes it a bold move.
That's bold for sure. And but the payoff, like the worst, we've talked about this before. What's the worst thing that can happen?
No.
Worst thing that can happen is somebody says no.
Yeah. Or a restraining order, probably. That's probably the worst thing that can happen.
Yeah, probably.
Well, at least it's all in good faith, I guess, trying to get something accomplished for the kingdom. So
that's true. Okay, that's the worst. That's fine.
But that is a bold move, and definitely taking a step out of your comfort zone. Ask your neighbors, your friends, your family to come join you with what we're doing, for sure.
That's good. We're all part of one family. Let's celebrate that, and let's be intentional about inviting as many people we can to experience that with us.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's time to make your move. That's how we end it. Make it a bold one. This is the Bold Moves podcast, and I've butchered that ending. Thank you for joining us.